And in his third start with Baltimore, he only goes 2 2/3, gave up 10 hits, 4 earned runs, didn't get a strikeout there. Was a little bit better against Philly, 5 innings, 7 hits, only 1 earned run, and he might have gone a little deeper had it not been a National League game. But then again, this series, 5 1/3, gave up 10 hits again, 4 earned runs, and only got 2 strikeouts there. And I just feel like his role on the team is becoming less and less concrete. Like, we don't know that we're necessarily going to keep him in the rotation or if he will go to the bullpen. And if you asked me two weeks ago or so, I just said there's no way he goes to the bullpen. You don't take out a guy who's given you those kind of innings, and he's just gradually slipping. And one of the things that was said about him is the fact that he can eat up innings and he can save your bullpen, and he's doing anything but that. Like I said, only going 5 1/3 in his last 3. 27 hits total in his last 3 starts. So hopefully that turns around. I know help could be on the way in the form of Erod, but like to see him kind of get it together.
Yeah, he's been on and off, just like you said. We just like a little more consistency, I guess, out of him would be big. So that makes for a call out for me, because he was definitely we could have used him to be a little bit better against Cleveland. My call out is going to be not a player, but the manager, Alex Cora, who I love. But he made 2 very questionable pitching decisions, which he's been great all year with. Minus, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 little blips here and there. In game 1, Rick Porcello was pitching very well. A couple bad pitches here and there, gave up a solo shot and a 2-run shot. And the 2-run home run should have been a solo shot. It was a infield single that was a bang-bang play at first. So Porcello's pitching very well. He got hit dead, it looked like in the chest. I was at the game, so I couldn't tell exactly where he got hit, but it looked like right in the chest. Went down, made the play, and trainers came out. He came out. He was at 98 pitches at the time. He needs to come out of that game. He ended up giving up another home run, and we ended up losing that game by 1. But because the bats fell asleep in the 9th there with runners on. But we ended up losing that game by 1. He should have never been out there. That was a John Farrell move. He's almost at 100 pitches, which has been his limit basically all year. He's given up a couple home runs in the game, and he just got hit dead in the chest. So you got to take him out there. And then today, David Price was unbelievable. 8 strong innings. Didn't need to go back out there for the 8th. I would have loved to see a guy like Drew Pomeranz, who, if he's going to stay on this roster, there is no better time to pitch than up 7-0 in the 8th inning of a game where Cleveland's had nothing all day. And he threw an extra 15 pitches. He only got to 101, which is right around his average where Cora likes to keep his pitchers. But he could have been out at 88 and saved his guy 15, 20 pitches. So I just think that he tried to stretch his pitchers a little too long in the series, something he hasn't done. And it wasn't necessary today at all. And I saw game 1, but when your guy gets hit in the chest by a ball, kind of got to take him out.
Yeah, I absolutely would have loved to have seen that. And unfortunately, I think it was on the second pitch after the comebacker was the one that went over the fence. And we'll kind of get into the actual recap now, the more in-depth part. Let's start with Porcello. That was basically almost a carbon copy of Game 1 against Cleveland in 2016. And the thing that I'm kind of learning as we go here with him in big games is that he really needs to be your number 3 or 4. If we have to rely on him as our number 2 pitcher, and that year he was our number 1, because of that insane run that he went on, I just feel like we're gonna be undergunned in a playoff matchup, and he's the type of guy that needs to come in kind of in the middle of the rotation and hopefully have a little bit more run support than what he had. And I just don't picture him being absolutely lights out in any type of playoff matchup.
I really like Porcello, and I think that Cora screwed him in Game 1 because if he didn't give up that home run when he got hit by that comebacker and came out right after that, I think we're singing a different tune with Porcello. I think we're saying that he can hang, and he gave up one bad pitch, which was the 2-run homer on after an infield single. A couple things didn't go his way that night, but I was very impressed with how he pitched. Game 1 against Kluber, who the Red Sox got to, by the way, and he matched up with Kluber for the first 5 or 6 innings, and he should have never been in the game to begin with. So I think that he pitched really well, and I think that if Price is going to continue to play the way he's been since the All-Star break, second lowest ERA in the league since then, and he's going to continue this trend, pitching well against the Yankees and Cleveland playoff teams. He pitched well against Houston earlier this year in a 4-game set for us as well. He's your number 2, which is fine with me if he's going to pitch like this. Porcello is definitely your number 3. Erod is great. I love Erod, but he can only go 5 innings. Porcello can give you 6 1/3, 6 2/3, and he's shown this year that he can do it. The teams that have beat him up for runs have been non-playoff teams mostly, and when he plays a team like New York, most recently he was amazing, and he wasn't bad against his Cleveland lineup as well. I think he is a solid 3, and if you look at the lineup, it's going to be Kluber, Bauer, Carrasco versus Sale, Price, and Porcello. I don't think we're completely outmatched on that third matchup with Carrasco, who the Red Sox play very well against. Great numbers against Carrasco and Porcello in there.
Yeah, he had like a 7 ERA. I don't know if that was against the Red Sox in the last couple of years or if those were Fenway-only numbers, but I knew that we had tuned him up quite a bit, and I was a little worried about Johnson with that lineup, but he just continues to prove me wrong. But with Porcello, the one concern, though, is he is giving up more home runs in the second half here, and I think he only gave up 1 in like the first 2 months or whatever. Like, none of them were going out of the park, and suddenly they are. So hopefully he gets that figured out. And another thing I would like to mention, too, when we're trying to line up how we would look against Cleveland, where that's going to be in the ALCS, we might not have the luxury of Sale Game 1 and Price Game 2. So, so hopefully.
Yeah, we might not, but they wouldn't either then in that case. So
True.
They wouldn't have, Bauer. So same difference. It's going to even out at some point, and just assume that they both sweep the ALDS on each side. We'll just assume that. But I think they went well. I think Porcello did fine, and he has been giving up more home runs since the break. So I think that's one thing he can work on. But for the most part, they've been solo shots, and even in that game, it would have been 2 solo shots before that last one if it wasn't for an infield single.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but if you look at Porcello's first half, it was kind of an anomaly when you think about it, about the amount of home runs that he gave up. So you could only expect that number to go up. You would like it to be able to stay low like that, but that's almost asking too much from Rick to just basically keep that up the entire year.
Yeah, and I don't know. And let's talk about Chris Sale here, and then I want to talk about kind of resting some of these guys. Dombrowski, first of all, Cora says there's no timetable on Sale, so I think we can safely assume he won't pitch again in August. And then Dombrowski says he might not come back till late September, or the exact quote was he might not be back into form until late September. So I don't know what that really means. But if he's going to be out, it's going to be tougher to rest some of these guys because you got Erod coming back. So I'm guessing, I don't know, I guess you could still slot Velasquez in there to like skip a Price start or skip a Porcello start. Those are the only 2 that really need the rest, I feel like, because Eovaldi got off to a slow start to the year, I feel like, and then Erod shouldn't need any rest because he's been off all summer basically. So we just have to find a way to rest these 2, and with Sale being out and Erod coming back, it's just going to be interesting to see how Cora staggers things, for the last 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a safe bet with Sale to say you won't see him until early September at the best, because the next three series are against under 500 teams, or right at it. I don't know if Tampa's at 500 right now, but Tampa, Miami, and then 4 games against the White Sox. So you don't need them. And then even after the White Sox series, you get 3 games against Atlanta. That's another. And there is a to be determined start right there right now. So he could come back then. After that, you have Houston and then Toronto and the Mets. So again, he could come back for the Houston series. He'd come back for Toronto if he wants an easier way back. I think about, won't return to form. I think you're going to see a very similar start that he had in Baltimore when he comes back, whenever it may be. I think they're going to keep him to 5 innings, 60, 70, 80 pitches, and then take him out. And then I think the next start after that, you'll see him go 7 innings or 80, 90, 100 pitches. I don't think they're just going to let him out, bring him back in 10 days, September 1st against the White Sox, push Eovaldi out, let him throw 100 pitches. I think they're going to ease him back, take their time. And with Erod coming back, they can stagger a little bit, because technically you could throw Price, Porcello, Velasquez, Brian Johnson, and a Erod in there. And Porcello is the only one that technically needs rest, because Price had innings out this year as well.
Well, here's the thing with Sale. Like, when they say return to form, I think you're right. I think that's just like letting the dog loose, letting him go the however long he really wants to go without Cora pulling the plug. We've seen Sale go 7 a lot. We've seen, we've even seen him go 8 once or twice this year. So like Dave just said, I think returning to form is him being able to throw 100 to 110 pitches.
Yeah, so that could be like a mid-September, a second or third week type activation, so to speak, to get him back in.
Yeah, which I'm fine with, by the way, because the rest
100%.
The rest of August we shouldn't drop a series. We shouldn't lose the Tampa Bay, Miami, or the White Sox a series. We can split within a 4-game set. We can split against Miami, who almost swept the Yankees, which is
one sack fly away.
One sack fly away, just like the Red Sox were one base hit away from winning 3 out of 4 against Cleveland and putting up 6 or more runs in 3 of those games. For anybody freaking out the first 2 games of the series, saying that the Red Sox can't hang with good teams or Cleveland has their number, they weren't watching the game, because 1 hit, 1 double, 1 home run, and this looks like an embarrassing series for Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't part of that because Francona stubbornly goes with a closer with a 4.0 ERA who's having the worst year of his career?
It almost sounds like Alex Cora can hang with guys like Terry Francona, something that you're very concerned with. I think we saw it this week that they both made a mistake in this series, but they're both pretty good as well. So it shows that Cora can hang with these type of guys.
Yeah, I just feel like if that's Brad Hand or even Andrew Miller in the 9th, that game isn't really within reach. But
no one was warming up in the bullpen though either. So that was his game.
No, I know, and go back to the Brad Hand trade. I mean, we were both kind of assuming, okay, he's the new closer, but he hasn't been, No,
he hasn't been, and I don't know if that's a confidence thing, like trying to go back to Allen, show him that he's good there. But at the end of the day, Allen is going to have to be in there and pitch for them. And even if they were to take Allen out there when he put 1 or 2 on, or the winning run was at the plate, who's to say whoever comes in is going to handle it well? You know what I mean? Especially with momentum. The Red Sox play really well with momentum, and they're going to have to play at Fenway Park. So, I truly think that the Red Sox, they split this series, but if I had to choose a winner of the series, I think it's the Sox.
I'm extremely excited to see the Progressive Series, in early September. That should be an interesting series.
Well, okay, let's say hypothetically we do square off in the ALCS in a 7-game series. Like, do you think the Red Sox have the edge based on what you saw?
Yes.
Yeah.
From this series, I think they have the edge. Like I said, they were 1 hit away, regardless of what Francona did, because if he did that now, Terry Francona, he would do that again in the playoffs, and he wouldn't think twice about it. So to lose the first game 5-4 on a fluke play by Porcello getting hit in the chest right before that, an infield single, and then the next pitch was a home run. and the Red Sox having guys, I think, at the corners with